We are live here on YouTube. I am Rich Lieberman. This is the Thursday Media Pulse, and welcome aboard. Those of you watching live, great to have you. Those of you watching at a more convenient time or based upon your schedule, also welcome aboard. So today I want to discuss a couple of things. First off, I get people ask me, you're always critical, always critical of KCBS. And if you, Mr. Smarty Pants, all you do is rip and rip and rip, you have no solution, you have no recommendation. The hell I don't. It's a lot easier than you make it out to be. Those of you who are sensitive, or maybe you don't get why I'm so critical and so negative about KCBS, which used to be a fantastic, maybe not fantastic, but used to be at least credible. It used to have a foundation of news reporting and capable people and people who were credible and forceful enough to where they can go behind a microphone, whether in the studio, whether in the field, and do their job, and thus maintain a station that presented itself as an all-news radio station. Not the case this day and age. So I'm going to talk about that, and I'm also going to talk about CNN and MSNBC, just as a few examples, but major examples of this naivete that I call. It's straight down the line naivete with regards to Donald Trump, the former president, and how they conduct their business model, which is not very smart, but that in a moment. Let's talk about a formula that really isn't that difficult for KCBS, which is in the middle of a whole bunch of things. So they have an excuse, don't they, with regards to their uneven situation. The fact that they're so incompetent and so ill, fill in the blank. Okay. And I was just listening today. I listened and I tried to somehow figure out what they're doing wrong. Now, they hired a new news director, a guy, you don't have to know his name. I've mentioned him a few times, but he's out of Washington. And so far, with all due respect to this new dude, I haven't heard anything that gives me any kind of feeling whatsoever as to, KCBS, they get it. They're making improvements and all that. They've got excuses. We don't have manpower. We don't have the budget. Our parent company is about to declare bankruptcy and being taken over by this new Soros group, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, that is an excuse. It's not a good enough excuse. I, for example, listen intently, even when they're incompetent. And they do have a core group of people, mostly anchors, who at least are capable. They're not great by any means. They're not even mid-level. But at least they have some iota of credibility, in which case they're allowed to go on and do their jobs and at least give a credible news readership, like anchoring in the morning. I'm not crazy about Eric Thomas and Margie Schaefer. I know, they're both capable, credible, perhaps. They just have no chemistry. They have no chemistry. They literally don't even talk to each other. There's no back and forth. They're like robots. I've said this a million times. But, in the middle of the day, Holly Kwan, who I've been very critical about, but at least Holly Kwan, I'll give her this. She is okay, does fairly decent interviews, nothing too spectacular, sort of bland, but the time slot where she anchors, which is 10 to 2, not a lot of people are listening to the radio, not even people in their car, which is why morning drive is so important, and afternoon drive. I mentioned the morning drive. with not so robust Eric Thomas, kind of a yawn, and Margie Schaefer. They don't particularly not only not have any chemistry, they just don't work together as being cohesive. Mentioned Holly Kwan. The afternoon drive, another total dust up, but as bad as they are, Patty Rising and Brett Burkhart, at least they've been around the block a few times. Okay. Winning formula. They have it right in their backyard. Okay. Before I get to that, the reporters, well, let me go to something that I am going to bring up and I think is very, very important. Okay. One of their good things, the real solid thing in which they can work upon and maintain and add a little bit of length to is right in their backyard. I'm not crazy about Phil Matier, but at least as I pertain to others, he's been around the block as a reporter for the Chronicle, as a political insider within San Francisco and the Bay Area and politics and all that. And he's got it in with Willie Brown. Good for Phil. At least it's entertaining. He does a bit every day in the morning and in the afternoon and does it particularly entertaining. Used to be a lot more entertaining on Friday in the morning with Willie Brown. But they put limits on his back and forth with the various anchors. In this case, it would be Thomas and Margie Schaefer. Why? I have no idea. That's your best information. That's your best content, is the Matier deal at 7:50 in the morning. Why? For God's sakes, do you put limits on a guy like Matier? Case in point, on Thursday, today, he was talking about, and this is news in and of itself with regards to media, LA Times, big news, didn't endorse both Trump and Kamala Harris. Apparently, it's cost them some readers and made for a rather interesting media situation, which was discussed and talked about by Phil Matier. And he went in depth, and it was more of a media deal, but people are interested in that kind of news. Yet they put a limitation on Matier. What could have been more expansive, more interesting than 3 minutes, God forbid, 5 minutes. And I realized, look, they have sponsorships. They have to tighten it up. Get all that. But they could do a separate feature. They could do, God forbid, 10 minutes. They could do a portion, an interview with the various anchors. Maybe not in the morning at 7:50, because God knows we have to have another traffic report even when there's no traffic. And again, I understand the fact that these are sponsored deals. You could still make time for something that people, God forbid, KCBS will listen to. Matier's got a name. He's got a name, as does Willie Brown. Why not lengthen or put an additional segment, KCBS, on a Friday, on a Wednesday, and do 6 minutes? I'll compromise. It is interesting. Okay, the reporters, KCBS, you now have these whack-a-mole reporters. God knows who's going to be reporting in the field, but your current crop of reporters are not the answer. They are arcane. They are archaic. They do not belong. A couple of them don't even know the lay of the land. You have one, God bless her soul. I'm not anti new experience, but when you're clearly not capable, Shannon Golden, whoever she is, a recent college grad that they give the job to. No excuse. And I don't give a damn. You don't have the money to pay reporters. Get a reporter. Drop these idiotic sports people, the anchors that nobody knows, cares. Nobody listens to the radio, particularly KCBS, to get sports scores. In fact, And I realize these are sponsored bits too. Have the anchors read the sports scores. Have the anchors that are in the studio give the sports reports. Three-quarters of the time, if not all the time, there's nothing to report. Get the sponsors taken care of by having the anchors, whomever they are, give the sports scores. Nobody is listening to KCBS to get a hockey score or a baseball score, even a football score. You know why? They're watching the football game. They're watching the basketball game. It is ridiculous to have sports guys in the morning or in the afternoon. A waste of money, particularly for a company and a radio station that claims that they don't have financial resources down. Get rid of that. Finally, KCBS, enough of the whack-a-mole anchor, traffic, or sports, or anchor. Nobody knows. There's no set schedule of who's going to be anchoring at 12. We may hear Holly Kwan. One day Holly's not there for a week. Maybe she's on vacation. Get it. But that happens more often than not. The people that are getting paid full time, and that includes news anchors and traffic anchors, half the time they're taking their precious time away from working and taking extended vacations. Good for them. They've earned it. Lousy for the listener who doesn't know what schedule takes place at KCBS because they have no schedule. They have no, nobody knows who's anchoring at 4 o'clock. Nobody knows the anchor on a Saturday at 7 in the morning. Half the time, these people are gone. The traffic situation, even worse. The sports anchor situation, ridiculous. Use the resources, KCBS and new news director, that you already have, not the whack-a-mole. One person here one day, one person here the next day. Never heard of this person, never heard of that person. Reporter A in Marin, never heard of. Jeffrey Schaub, this is a heartless kind of an endorsement. Retire. You're not ready. It's boring. It's lousy. Okay? Traffic people. One day it's this person, one day it's that person. No reporters. The reporters that you do have are incapable. They're either inexperienced, they sound like crap. You don't know any kind of formula. There is no formula. There is no set manpower, woman power schedule. It's basic common sense that when you have all these various people on, off, readers, listeners, consumers, they don't have any kind of formula. And again, don't give me the excuse about lack of money and this, that, and the other. You have the money to pay certain people, then get rid of some of those people and hire more seasoned reporters who know what the hell they're talking about, who know the correct street name of the city that they're reporting from, who are seasoned and have an idea. Maybe then, KCBS, you'll actually send a reporter to a murder case in your own backyard at the Hall of Justice, this Bob Lee murder case, the CEO who got murdered under the Bay Bridge. And you do not have a reporter at the Hall of Justice. You have to take KPIX snippets. How pathetic, how embarrassing. But I'm going to be more optimistic. I'm going to say, new news director, do your job. They brought you all the way out from Washington. You supposedly have an excellent reputation. Do your job. Don't wait around. Get rid of the people that you could get rid of. Start implementing your own formula. That's why you're there. They want you to do what the other person Miss Jenny had no idea what the hell she was doing and has caused all the kerfluffles that is KCBS. Okay, topic two. I have MSNBC on in the background. Now, I monitor all the various channels. I look at CNN. I watch Fox News, more the news side than the commentary side. But I watch them all, even MSNBC, CNBC, BBC, uh, obviously the over the air networks, but primarily I try to watch various cable outlets. We have the election coming up pretty soon now. It's just days now, 12 days. And all these articles, all these developments about Trump. Well, he was talking about Arnold Palmer in Latrobe, Pennsylvania, and he made a comment about his penis. Didn't say it like that. Oh my God, that's going to, how terrible, how embarrassing. And it is. A former president of the United States talking about a man's dick at a function where his family was embarrassed, this, that, and the other. Oh my God, that's going to have implications. No, it isn't. It still hasn't. Oh, you could be ashamed and startled and dismayed that a former president, the leader of the free world, makes comments about a person, by the way, is dead, genitalia. It ain't going to have an impact. Another story. This is Naivete up the yin yang. Trump's chief of staff when he was president, John Kelly, political advisor, confidant, on and on and on, comes out a few days ago and says that Donald J. Trump should not be in office, nowhere near the White House, should not be elected again, that he's a fascist, called him a fascist, and not the antithetical, it referred to him as dangerous and a fascist. Oh, well, that's going to significantly hurt Donald Trump. No, it isn't. And these commentators like MSNBC and CNN, they don't get it. Folks, I have made this comparison. I'm an analyst, but I don't get the big bucks. But I'm going to give you my thoughts. This has no impact. The man's head, his character, his repertoire, he literally, yes, can do anything. They don't care. And I say these are the Trump cultists. They're not followers, they're beyond that. They are cultists. I liken him to Jim Jones. And I mean that. And not the ending, but Jim Jones followers were cultists. He could do no wrong. Some of them even took poison and killed themselves. Not all of them. They didn't give a damn. Trump people, for the most part, do not care that the guy has no, shall we say, character, has no. And this is, by the way, Trump bad, Kamala Harris good. This is not that. Just hear me out. It's nothing like that. It's the fact that these commentators, these pundits, who are supposed to know analytical stuff, who are supposed to be more comprehensive and to give you expert opinion and to tell you why this does not matter, like I just did, but they don't do that, folks. The man is bulletproof, no pun intended, with regards to all of that. He, in that sense, can do no wrong because his folks don't like politicians. I'm not justifying this, by the way, because this is a whole different oasis than a mere standoffishness and a want for populists who could care less about politicians, who don't like politicians, don't like the mainstream media, think every ounce of that is not real and fake and not genuine. These pundits on MSNBC and CNN, and for even for that matter, Fox News, like a Brett Baier, like a Neil Cavuto, they care. They think that these incidents with Trump talking about a man's dick, about this, that, and the other, and his former advisor, his chief of staff, calling him a fascist. They think that that type of publication of news is going to hurt Trump. In fact, it helps him. It helps him. The white males, the uneducated, for the most part, his legion, his cult following, are people who don't give a damn about that. In fact, I think it even helps him for the McDonald's crowd, the people, the white guys in Ohio, working class people. Many of them are Democrats, in fact, who want that, who don't care about that. They think of him as some sort of a god. A lot of these people, well, a lot of them are not educated. A lot of them are educated. They hate mainstream media culture, and they don't like politicians, and they view Trump as some sort of a god. That appeals to them. They're not going to untether themselves to Trump because he was talking about Arnold Palmer's schlong, or the fact that his ex-advisor, his chief of staff said that he's a fascist and that he's dangerous. They don't give a damn. And these pundits, oh, that's going to cost them in the polls. That's going to, folks, let me just cut it to change. Okay. Let me just cut it right simple. We have a deadlocked election. It's tie. Lord knows what can happen come November 4th. And it's going to be longer than that. We're not going to know right away. What again doesn't surprise me anymore. I'm surprised at the naivete of these pundits. They don't know. They look at their own dismay and they view Trump as being vulgar and being this, that. You can imagine what they think when the camera's not on. I understand that. But to go on the air and say unequivocally that Trump's going to get repercussions because of this, I start laughing. He gets more throttle. His poll numbers go up, if anything. Understand that. They don't understand. Okay, enough about that. Little housekeeping. On election day, if all goes well, as Jim Eason used to say, I'm going to provide you all an election day show during the day, midday, and maybe even in the evening. I am working on it feverishly, trying to get some guests lined up and that kind of a thing, because you don't have that in the Bay Area. You don't. A few channels, television news operations, they might put on something, but that'll be an election night. Radio, not anything. KCBS will pretend to have an election evening coverage, but yeah, good luck with that. KQED, BS. You don't have any kind of, particularly readers, viewers, listeners, a connection where you can talk, you can vent, you can discuss, you can analyze what is taking place on November 4th. And again, not a real big prediction. I don't think we're going to know until the following, who knows, Thursday, Friday. There's even talk, speaking of Mr. Trump, that he's going to declare victory on election day when the results haven't even been formulated or counted, etc. That's a potential circus that, maybe if you're a media person, you're looking forward to. If you're the voting public and, whatever, that's could be awfully, awfully chaotic and potentially disruptive, disastrous, etc., etc., etc. So, yeah, I'm going to have a show. I'll try to. Finally, and this is selfish, but with heart, folks, please become a subscriber to my YouTube channel. And if you can, please make a donation, a contribution. They're both the same, but one sounds better than the other, to myself so I can have the financial wherewithal, the means to pay bills, electronic bills, high-speed internet, phone, cable, communications, et cetera, to give you this show, which most of the time is pretty damn good. Off days, of course, but I need money to pay the bills. And I'm at a point now where I'm on fumes. I know a lot of you love the show because I've heard your feedback. I know a lot of you don't like the show, and that's fine. Then I miss out, you miss out, what have you. That's called life. Many of you in the middle who don't care either way, maybe you haven't donated because it's not making or breaking your life. And I get that too. But I work unfiltered. This is a live show. When you're not watching, maybe you're watching at a later time. It's not live, but it's live when I do it with no paperwork, no things that I have to say because I'm beholden to advertisers, which I'm not, which is one of the reasons why, folks, I need the money to keep myself going, which thus keeps you going. I have an opinion about a few things here and there. You may agree, disagree, maybe in the middle, but you have a live show. And I try to keep you informed by having interviews, by doing various things, sometimes things I shouldn't do, but I give you an opinion, I give you scoops. I hopefully, and this is the most important thing, I provide you entertainment, and we have a productive type of encounter here. Not always, but I do my best. And I try to present all sides. And I encourage disagreement and debate, all that. Keep it in the mix. I don't want to hear that Trump is great. I don't want to hear that Kamala Harris is great. And I don't want my threads, which is why a lot of the comments, people that for no apparent reason just continue to bombard with this person's great, that person's terrible, Republicans great, Democrats bad. I'm a liberal, you're conservative. This person good, that person bad. Folks, I don't want to turn this into a political circus and all this shit. I have my own leanings, you know that, but I try to be fair. I'm not thrilled about Kamala Harris. And big deal. This is a media site. I'd like to keep it to where, hey, you might disagree with Harris. You may not watch Fox News, but you're objective enough to say, they did a good job. Some of their political people are actually pretty good, the news people, not the Fox News pundits like a Laura Ingraham or Hannity or that schmuck, that other guy, that, Jesse Harris or whatever the hell his name is, Jesse Waters, CNN, MSNBC, or whatever you watch, BBC, News Nation. I watch them all. So please, folks, if you can, $5, $10, 20, 50, 100, 200,000, a million. Okay, being a little sarcastic, God willing. God forbid. Please donate. You can go to my PayPal, which is on the right side of my channel or my Google page. And if you have a laptop or a desktop, it's right there. If you're watching, say, from a smart ass phone, you can't get it. You have to go to your desktop or your laptop. Click on the PayPal. I take all credit cards, cash. It's 100,000% safe, secure. You don't have to be a member of PayPal to donate. And once I get the money, it goes to expenses. Just a small little bit of it goes to me so I can breathe a little, eat a little, drink a little coffee, a little. I will call you or email you back thanking you. If you don't want to be bothered, just let me know and it's cool. I will not bother you. But keep in mind, I thank you for contributing because without your help, I keep saying this, I can never repeat it enough. Without your help, there is no Rich Lieberman Media Pulse, and thus, okay. Am I terrific? Nah, Am I wonderful? Every now and then. Once in a while, I get it right, and we do a good show, and I have good interviews, and you're all happy, and you don't have to love me, okay? But it's a live show, and I give you more than you're going to get anywhere else. Okay, so it is Thursday. Thank you for watching, and we will see you later.